All right. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for the little bit of a late start tonight, but appreciate all you guys hanging in there with us. Tonight, we got new phone line. Phone line is going to be open. I'll let everybody know when that will be. But if you want to do us the biggest favor and go see our folks at Williams Auto Parts. Go see Rocky. Go see Heath down there located in Portland, Indiana. And if you cannot see them in person for your new and used auto parts needs, you can give them a call at 260-726-8001 is the number to call for Williams Auto Parts located in Portland, Indiana. Let me just make sure everything is good to go. But with that being said, before we get into the show, turn over the phone line. New number two call, 260-245-1479 is the new number to call if you want to dial it up. But as the topic du jour is college football is out of control. I think that there is some stuff coming in place. From what I've seen, I think that the majority of stuff that's happening is going to be fascinating to see how this works itself out, to be completely honest with you. As I'm navigating through some stuff here, but I don't. Also, Little League World Series on tonight, if anyone cares. But phone line is open. Let me put the banner on there. The number is on the ticker below. Phone line is open. Number to call, 260-245-1479 if you want to call in. But where did my notes go? Just had them up. So, with the college football eligibility chaos, college football is basically making rules in real time right now. We have players trying to come back from the NFL to campus. We have courts getting involved. We have conferences creating their own eligibility restrictions. We have the NFL clarifying what happens if a player goes back to school. Meanwhile, Tennessee linebacker Arion Carter is still suspended for one game for a $427 plane ticket during the NFL draft process, even that he paid back. At some point, somebody has to explain what the standard is. Has college football lost control of the eligibility? I think they have. I don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube, to be completely honest. I don't think that it's conducive for the long-term health of the sport. I don't think that looking at it going forward, it's going to bear the fruit that people want it to. I mean, to be completely honest, I think it's kind of falling apart. But when you take that approach, TV ratings are through the roof. You can't argue that. There is all kinds of stuff that is going on that essentially. Oh, why is this being so finicky? Essentially, that you have everybody making up their own rules as they go. I don't think that we can get to a point. I mean, I'll just keep reiterating this. college football is awesome on Saturday. Whenever it gets to, I would say, college football Sunday through Friday, not a good sport. I just don't know how. I don't really know how you fix this issue. I mean, they did the 5 for 5. And I don't think that, sitting here rehashing all of that is going to fix anything. But college football as a whole, I think, is rotting from the inside out, to be completely honest. And then I don't think this is a unusual or unattainable ask. Should going professional permanently eliminate your college eligibility? I can answer my own question. Yes. I think it should permanently eliminate your eligibility to where you cannot come back to school. I don't think that is an abstract concept, to be completely honest. And the 5 full seasons of eligibility, I believe they put that in place to keep kids out of the transfer portal. Outside of that, I think that's the only reason why they did it. I think that is the sole reason why they did it. I think regardless of what happened previously, I don't think that they should have it be the Wild West and open kimono. Like I said, I'm not saying that immediate eligibility is the problem. Well, that's kind of the problem. But I think at a certain standpoint, I think that when it comes down to it, you've got to really, really think about this and what you're doing for the longevity of the sport, to be completely honest. Now, do I think that they will get this figured out? I would hope so. I would hope they would have a clamp on this by the end of next year. That is kind of what I'm hoping on, or hoping that they get it figured out. Because I think to be completely honest with you, I don't see how the NCAA is still capable of governing the sport, because it's falling off the rails, but the money is as high as it's ever been. And the crazy thing is that there was some roster estimations going on, and this was average spending going on in college football for some of the rosters out there. And this is as of June 2026. The Big Ten, $48.2 million on a roster. SEC, $44.5 million on a roster. The ACC, $29.4 million on a roster. And the Big 12's right there with them at $24.3 million is what they're spending on the rosters. I don't know what you can and can't do with some of that information. I think that is completely, the guardrails are gone. That's completely fell off the rails. I mean, NIL, when it started, like there was some kids getting like $1 million. Like, remember the Quinn Ewers deal? Like when Ohio State paid him $1 million and people like lost their mind. That 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 might buy you a backup quarterback in the Big Ten or the SEC now. And I'm not being facetious on that. That is essentially what it kind of is. But I think that at some point people have to realize that going into this thing, I don't think that they were totally prepared for where the market would be. There is no self-control when it comes to this. I think the boosters have always been at certain universities. It's just always something that's hasn't been able to be, how do I want to put this in perspective? It always hasn't been like a moral hazard sport, but then again, 10 years ago, $500,000 and a couple of Dodge Chargers, that buys you the number one recruiting class. You couldn't even keep up with Group of Five spending with that. I'm just keeping it real. And then also, I think that you can't let the courts be college football's rule book, because the interpretations of some of the stuff that happens with the law, I'm not completely agreeing or disagreeing. It's just very, very bizarre, but we'll get into that. Also, it's good to see that Williamsport, never been there. Although I'd like to. I think it would be great. But like I said, if you want to chime in, phone line is open. Number to call, 260-245-1479 is the number to call. That is the new number. We got a new number. It's on the ticker below. New phone line is 260-245-1479. So there's kind of that. And we'll get into this because the leading candidate on this, I seen reports today that LSU didn't vote or abstained from voting or something like that about the banning of professionals coming back to college football. I don't know where this is going to get them, but it's kind of a bizarre, in my opinion, juxtaposition. But LSU has been pushing for former professional football players, Daquan Wright and Xavier Harris, after the court's rulings opened a path for them to potentially return to college football. The SEC has adopted a rule preventing players that have been NFL, NBA, WNBA rostered players from competing in the conference. Now we've got another development. LSU was the only school that didn't approve the conference's new penalty structure for schools and coaches who violate the rule. The penalty structure passed 15-0 with LSU president abstaining. That's fascinating. LSU supported the eligibility rule Tuesday, but when it came time to establish punishments Wednesday, LSU wouldn't support it. Here's my thing. Lane Kiffin is doing exactly what Lane Kiffin does. He's always looking at the rules and looking and asking, where exactly does it say I can't do this? And frankly, that's how we got NIL and unlimited transfers and half the changes we've seen in college football. I'm not solely blaming Lane Kiffin, but I think a lot of the coaches around there have coveted jobs. There's only 16 SEC jobs. There's only 18 Big Ten jobs. Those guys like those jobs. They want to hang on to those jobs. And I think that's where this story gets muddy. And some of the pushes, someone pushes the envelope until the NCAA or conferences respond. This is my question with the Lane Kiffin stuff. Is Lane Kiffin bad for college football, or is he simply smarter than everybody else exploiting the system? That's something you need to ask yourself. I think that when it comes down to it, Lane Kiffin has pushed the envelope. He's brought drama everywhere he's went. I'm not begrudging the man for trying to do everything in his power to win. And I think this is also the other case on this angle. I think that when it comes down to it, if he was at your school, for some of the people that are pissed off about this, hotty toddy background, there are Ole Miss people not happy. I can see why they're happy. But is Lane Kiffin trying to be the smartest guy in the room? Is it going to cost him dearly? Do I think them adding Xavier Harris and Daquan Wright is going to be the be-all, end-all, and they're going to go win the national championship and it's LSU 2019? No, I think it's far from that. But what I think it does is it establishes a precedent of not being able to put the toothpaste back in the tube. That is something that needs to be established here. I don't think running to every state court when you get a ruling from the NCAA you don't like, you want to take your ball and go home. Now, do I think Kiffin is doing that? Not really, but I think he's going to support the players. I think that that's something that he's going to do, but we'll see how this thing shakes out. My next question is if a judge says Daquan Wright can play, but the SEC says he can't, who wins the stalemate here? That is my whole angle on this. That is what I want to know. The SEC, the conference says he can't play, but the judge says he can. I don't know how this whole thing is going to shake out, but I think that looking at this is a very sketchy precedent that you are going to set in college football, and everybody wants to do the Greg Sankey bashing. And I don't think bashing Greg Sankey is going to fix your problem. Your problem is with your local judge. That's not going to rule against the university that he's probably holding a law degree from. That probably has donated money in the past or currently donates money to. Also, I think the governor being involved in LSU's business is a sticky situation. Because what if it doesn't work? I don't think people have talked about that. Siskey and McCready talked about the private equity deal that LSU has in place. What if it doesn't work? How do you get the money back? Because Tiger Stadium looks really empty. I mean, really empty when they're not good. So, if you're betting on Lane Kiffin, I hope it works out for you. That's the one thing I'm saying for LSU. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully the gamble pays off. But if you got questions, number to call is on the ticker below, 260-245-1479 is the number to call. And then also, to follow up on that, the SEC may believe it's protecting its competitive integrity, but what if the players challenge this conference rule in the court? They're probably heading towards another legal showdown. That's something I think the SEC probably thought about. If you have 15 of your 16 members that are saying, no, we shouldn't do this, and it's unanimous in the Big Ten, even though I get it, the SEC people and the Big Ten people are kind of at odds, but they're not really, but they're kind of in it's a very slippery slope. Also, could the conferences be in trouble for collusion? That's also another thing that gets floated around out there. But also, I want to take this time. That's just some food for thought. I also want to take this time. If you could do us the biggest favor, I see all you guys watching on Twitter. Come on over to the YouTube side of things. That helps us grow the platform. And if you can hit the like and subscribe button, that helps us a ton. We are on the road to 500. We're almost there. Just need like 25, like 30 more people to push us over the edge. But that's where we're at. But some kid just hit a home run in the College World Series, and they are jacked up. What a hit for that kid. We got Alabama versus Ohio. In the Little League World Series, there's literally nothing else on. Unless you want to watch the news, and I don't want to do that. So, as we head in, the NFL just entered the fight as well when it comes to this eligibility thing. This broke Wednesday afternoon. I think Schefter broke it. And this gives you another angle on the LSU situation. The NFL is reminding teams that if a player leaves the professional ranks and returns to college, he cannot sign with an NFL team the remainder of the 2026 season. But here's why that's important. If you're already signed an NFL contract and been released, are you considered a free agent? So returning to college doesn't reset you. Hold on, I scribbled out a word. Doesn't reset you. You're going to be back in the NFL draft afterward. I don't know essentially how that's going to shake out because they cut Daquan Wright. He's technically not. If Daquan Wright and Xavier Harris aren't signed with anybody, but if the teams cut them, they're technically free agents. They can go sign with another NFL team. They got it through the NFL PA somehow, which I think is interesting, but, you know, the NFL PA kind of rolls over. Sorry, but they do. They're going to get 18 games because what they're really going to get is 20 games. But also, phone line is open. Number to call, 260-245-1479 is the number to call. But now we're getting somewhere. At least the NFL is establishing what happens on the other side of the equation. But look at how ridiculous the overall system has become. NFL rules say one thing, and NCAA rules say another thing. SEC rules say something else. Big Ten rules may say something else as well. And then a state or federal judge can potentially say something completely different. How is a coach supposed to build a roster under this system is my question. Because you have all these different entities. There is no governing body. They keep on getting their stuff thrown out in the court. They're getting crushed at the state level. And I don't know where we go from here. Because my question is should the NFL and NCAA simply agree on one universal rule? Once you sign a professional contract, your college career's over. I don't think that's unreasonable. I really don't. I know some people might think it's unreasonable, but it's just bizarre. And a lot of people want to bring up the Chris Weinke thing. Chris Weinke played, I think, professional baseball for 7 years, but came back. I don't know. That's a different era, different time. But that's why I bring this up. I said all that to say this, playing devil's advocate here. Why? Baseball players can play for professionally and then later participate in college athletics under certain circumstance. Why should college football be any different? Well, I've heard that argument. Well, it's two separate sports. You're eligible for the Major League Baseball draft after high school. You don't have to be 3 years removed from your graduating class to be eligible for the draft. So I just think that there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. I think that, when you look at certain aspects of it, is it bizarre? Yeah, it is. But when you boil this down to chicken broth, I'm not shocked that Lane Kiffin's in the middle of this. Because I think Lane is on the I will do anything necessary to win. Although I think that it's very bizarre, to say the least, that it's got to come down to this. And then you have the other side of the coin here. You have the Arion Carter and the $427 hypocrisy. It's Tennessee linebacker, in case some people are living under a rock. Arion Carter's suspension has been reduced from 2 games to 1 game after Carter accepted a $427 plane flight from an NFL agent during his pre-draft process. He suffered an injury, withdrew from the draft, and returned to Tennessee and reimbursed the cost of the flight. He will still miss Tennessee's opener against Furman. He's missing 2 quarters. Okay. Maybe two and a half. He ain't playing in the fourth quarter. That ain't happening. Just saying. It's going to be like Heupel's going to run. Heupel's going to score as much as he can while he can on Furman. That's just what he's going to do. Spoiler alert. But what I want explained to me on this whole situation, explain this one to me. We're debating whether guys can legally leave NFL training camp to return to college football. We're spending millions of dollars assembling college football rosters. Revenue sharing exists, NIL exists, and we're still suspending somebody over a $427 plane ticket that he reimbursed. Either monetize the rules or stop pretending the old system still exists, is my opinion on that. Because I don't think that you can make a logical argument on why this kid should be ineligible because he took a plane ticket. It is not even in the same ballpark of what we're talking about. Leaving NFL training camp, he got hurt, took a plane flight, thought he was going to go, got hurt. He's like, probably didn't get a good draft grade. He withdrew his name from the draft, which is following the rules. He followed the letter of the law. I don't see what the big deal is. Because, in my opinion, he should be eligible to play against Furman, even though it's going to be a 2-quarter outing. That's just my thing. Now, if they were playing Clemson or if they were playing Kentucky or something like that, then like an SEC game, yeah, it's a big damn deal. It's the way I look at it. But are they really going to miss him that much against Furman? I don't think so. But here's my thing. What's worse for the integrity of college football? Accepting a $427 plane ticket or leaving an NFL organization to return to the SEC? I think that's where the conversation gets interesting. I think the NCAA has some explaining to do. I know a lot of people want to hold their ass to the fire. I get it. But this is the whole thing. They've been trying to combat all of this stuff, and they've been getting crushed in court. That is what is hurting them. They have been getting crushed in court bad. Oh, got to catch that fly ball, kiddo. But I don't think we're even in the I don't even think we're in the same ballpark when it comes to this. There's got to be something else on. It's like tennis mixed doubles. Like, your boy ain't watching tennis. Oh, rerun of Indiana, Miami. I guess that'll do. Ooh, just started too. But I think that you have to sit down and ask yourself those questions. This kid's serving a 1-game suspension for a plane ticket he paid back. But we're going to let guys leave NFL training camp? This just doesn't make any sense. Looking at that. Hold on, I need to see. Is it going to rain soon? Oh, no. That's not conducive. But I guess we'll broach this topic as well. It'll drive some people up the wall. Is the Big Ten the best conference in college football? Because when you break it down, Indiana won, or not Indiana won, they should be one, but Ohio State won, Oregon 2, Indiana 6. Indiana is the defending national champion, 16-0. And the Big Ten now has won 3 consecutive national titles, while the SEC has 9 ranked teams, but compared with the 8 from the Big Ten, is the depth argument there? Because the SEC can argue depth, but the teams that are hoisting the trophy are from the Big Ten. The SEC hasn't made a title game in 3 years. I mean, the Big Ten kind of steals one with adding Washington. But the crazier thing is that technically the Pac-12's had a participant in the national championship more recently than the SEC has in the last 3 years. At some point, can we keep automatically calling the SEC the best conference because of what happened 10 years ago? If the Big Ten keeps winning national championships, I think the crown changes hands. If the Big Ten wins it this year, whether it's Indiana, Ohio State, or Oregon, the SEC's got a problem because that'd be 4 in a row. And I think you lump Notre Dame in there because I think Notre Dame has a real good outside shot at it. And I think also on the Notre Dame angle, I think you tell the ACC to go kick rocks, to be honest, after that deal or whatever you guys got going with them. After that deal's up, tell them to go kick rocks. That's just my opinion. But I'll leave it up to you. Phone line is open. Let me check the tablet here. No calls so far. But number to call, 260-245-1479 is the number to call. Call up. Is the Big Ten the best conference in college football? Or would you rather have depth in your conference, or would you rather have championships in your conference? I know which one I would prefer. But I think this is also going to rub some people the wrong way. The Indiana Hoosiers are the defending national champions, 16-0, after Steve Sarkisian said at a Texas press conference that going 16-0 would never happen. The Hoosiers go out and do that. But yet, Indiana comes in ranked number 6. Do I think the preseason polls, the preseason AP poll and the coaches poll get people fired up? Oh, yeah, it does. But at the end of the day, in 6 weeks, half the teams aren't going to be where they're at in those polls. So I think that at some point, people need to kind of chillax a bit. I get why Indiana fans are pissed off. But, you know, Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Georgia 3, Notre Dame 4, Texas 5, Indiana 6. But like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with Indiana being 6. Preseason polls aren't supposed to be the reward for the end of the year. But I understand why Indiana fans say, what the hell else do we have to do? They went undefeated and won the national championship. Now Josh Hoover has to replace Fernando Mendoza. And that's a massive question mark, which I don't think they would have paid. I've seen some numbers that they paid him $3.5 million. That's $2.5 million more than what Mendoza got paid, and he went out and won the Heisman and won the national championship. Indiana, magical run. It is what it is. I guess going into the national championship, I didn't realize it. Carson Beck's record as a starter was 37-5. Yikes. He won a lot of games. So that's also a side note. But here's also the other question with being the defending national champion. Does being the defending national championship deserve to start number 1 until somebody beats them? And what does Indiana have to prove in 2026 that 2025 was not a fluke and they are here to stay on the national map with Curt Cignetti? I think that there's going to be a lot of questions answered. I think Indiana's floor this year is making the playoffs. I don't think Indiana fans they would freak out, but I don't think that, if you want to hold your program to that standard, there is no more 6-6 and there is no more little old Indiana. I think that mentality is slowly going by the wayside. Indiana is selling more season tickets because I remember when I was a kid, when I was young, going to the Hoosier games, if you bought a Whopper, they gave you 2 tickets. Now you couldn't trade a golden Whopper to get 2 tickets. Have you looked at Indiana ticket pricing? Insane. So that's something to look at, to look forward to. Indiana has a lot to prove. I think, again, in 2026, I know there will be some people that will say they ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. Well, if they go out and they do it again, I mean, they got a date with Ohio State at their place at Memorial Stadium, running out past Heps Rock. That is a showcase showdown, as some people in the game show world would like to see. I think that's going to be an electric atmosphere, although Fox will probably have it at big noon kickoff because that's going to be what everybody wants to see. Just love it. But with that being said, appreciate all you guys watching the show. Do us the biggest favor. If you like college football, like this video, and subscribe to the podcast so you can get notified whenever we go live. Trying to go 7:30 Monday through Friday, and then doing all the watch parties for all the compelling stuff. Late night call-in show on Saturday night. So we'll keep all of that in perspective. But like I said, do us the biggest favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us out a ton. Wow. Last 3 players to go undefeated and win the Heisman and the national championship: Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, and Joe Burrow. I know that's kind of random, but that's just kind of what it was. I'm looking at the ticker. I can't wait until Saturday at high noon. They kick this thing off, and the gambling show will be out in the morning. Oh, yeah. So, but here's a completely different subject to take your attention off of everything that's been going on. This should be great for the nostalgia of college football. And college football fans, ESPN confirmed on Wednesday that it's removing its traditional bottom ticker during live college football action. That includes the following networks: ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ACC Network, SEC Network, and ESPN News. ESPN intended to give the broadcast a more cleaner presentation. This is my issue with it. I understand why they're doing it. Everybody has a phone now. If you want the Ohio State score, you can look it up in 3 seconds. But there's something about watching college football and seeing the scores continuously rolling across the bottom of the screen and how it feels on Saturday. My question to you guys in the audience: is this a good move or a terrible move by ESPN? I think there's a bigger question here. Sports broadcasting, is it actually improving, or are networks removing things that fans like because they assume everybody is watching on a phone in their hand? I think that that's a big... I wouldn't be shocked if there is a bunch of complaining about it and it gets put back. I would not be shocked by that. I think that having the ticker on the bottom, you can keep track of other sports. You can keep track of breaking news. What are they going to do? Game-winning drive in a 3:30 game, or somebody loses that you're not watching the game because I have multiple screens that I can watch on. I have 5 55-inch TVs that I'm going to have continuous action on. At noon on Saturday, the North Carolina game will be everywhere in my studio. And it'll just continuously roll. I have a Big Ten TV and I have an SEC TV. And then I have the miscellaneous stuff that I'm keeping track on the other 2 TVs. Some people may not like that, but that is the way it is. So that's very interesting. Okay. Also, this just in. Roger Goodell, ESPN reporting, probably Schefter. Roger Goodell is looking into whether Jed York will be punished for violating the league's conduct policy. Okay, so what are you going to do with an owner? Fine him? Okay, right. You see that TV check you're giving him, Roger? All hell the commish. It's like, seriously, what are we doing here? Okay. We'll get down to some other stuff here. Week 0. North Carolina, TCU. It kicks off in Dublin. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but are you guys a fan of the international kickoff? Like, I'm almost to the point to where I feel like it should, like, they should be playing that game in wherever TCU's at, Fort Worth, or playing it in Chapel Hill. I get it. There's money involved in this, but I just feel like that it's going to be an electric weekend. Even though it's going to be in Ireland, I think it's for the big-time boosters and all of the people that are heavily invested in the university. They are going to enjoy their probably week in Ireland. A lot of people probably leaving now, probably leaving today. Some people may have left Monday. Don't know when the teams left. I'm assuming the teams left a week in advance to get acclimated to the time and all that stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're at, but I think that it's going to be fascinating. I think that, this year we're going to crown a new national champion. Coaches under pressure. It's going to be fascinating. But I think that we'll go a little rapid fire here. Oh, wow. I forgot that happened in this game. Phone line is open. Number to call, 260-245-1037. 1479. Phone line is open. Don't know what dance those kids are doing, but okay. Here are some other things that I have questions about because I hate to say it, but I have a lot of questions. Going into this thing, number one, Ohio State, number one team in the country. Are the Buckeyes the actual best team in the nation, or are voters falling in love with the roster? I think that there's something that I don't think that's an unfair question when it comes down to Ohio State. I think that looking at it, is that a fair question? I think so. I think that some people will dislike that answer. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. I think that looking at it for what it's worth, that's not an unfair question. Also, I have number 2 wrote down in my notes. Oregon. Is this Dan Lanning's year to win a national championship? Because I think this is one of the best rosters he's had. He got Moore back. He has Raiola as a backup. I don't know. I think for Oregon, get through the regular season, get to the playoffs, and I really think it's shit or get off the pot for Oregon. I know some people are going to complain about that. Dan's winning a lot of games. He's won a lot of games up there. But if you just can't push it over the edge, I mean, that's why, well, I think there was a myriad of reasons why Mario left up there. But, I mean, what is Mario? He's coming into year 5 this year, just coming off a loss in the national championship. I think there was a reason why he left up there. I think Oregon's got out. They have some of the most resources in the Big Ten with Uncle Phil. Do I hate the fact that Dan hasn't won it yet? The problem is that 3 of the biggest games of his career, he lost the Pac-12 championship when they were big time favorites to beat Washington. That was DeBoer, Michael Penix, that great Washington team that ended up eventually losing to Michigan in the national championship. And then you thought 2024 was going to be the year he slayed the beast. He beats Ohio State at home. He wins the Big Ten. They get a bye. The Buckeyes, they have a showdown in Pasadena, and it turns into an absolute bloodbath. So Ohio State was a buzzsaw. Comes in, Peach Bowl, getting another crack at Indiana. And they just get blown out. They got blown out in the Peach Bowl, and they got blown out in the Rose Bowl. 2 of the biggest games of his career, he's gotten completely dismantled. I don't think that. I mean, he did win a college football playoff game. I will give him that. He beat a inept TCU team that couldn't do anything on offense. But he was playing for all the marbles, and he just completely folded. His team folded. I know Oregon fans are going to say, I don't know what I'm talking about, but go watch that Indiana game and tell me that there was no advantage. There was a huge advantage because it looked like an Indiana home game. The only thing you have to do to get to Atlanta is really just drive through. It's like 7-8 hours. Because after Indiana won, after they blew Alabama out, it was a no-brainer. If you build it, they will come. I guess I have another question. Comes down to Georgia. Has Kirby Smart's program become almost underrated because Georgia hasn't won a national championship in 3 years? I don't think anybody should overlook Georgia. I just don't. I think they're going to be in the hunt. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think there's a lot of people in the SEC overlooking him, but I think if Kirby gets a good draw in the tournament, it could be good for Georgia. Now, you got Ohio State out there, you got Indiana out there, and you got Oregon out there. So I think there's some question marks there. It's going to be how good does Gunnar Stockton play? I think that that's an overrated topic. So, I guess another question I have. I'm just going down some of the notes that I jotted down as I was thinking about it today. Notre Dame. Does Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame finish the job? Does anybody think that is a unreasonable request? Is he kind of in the same boat as Dan Lanning? Although Marcus Freeman made it to the national championship and went up against, he had a young team when he did it. He went up against a buzzsaw that was Ohio State, and I think Notre Dame gave Ohio State all they wanted. Now, do I think that Notre Dame not getting into the playoff? Yes. It sucked. But, 2 games, 4 points, a field goal game, and then catch an extra point, and we see what happens in overtime. I think that sums up Notre Dame's season. Now, as far as them going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, whatever. So, they were a little hurt by not making the playoffs, so they said, we're not playing in your stupid bowl game, and we're not putting sprinkles on our helmets, which, not shocked with that coming out of Notre Dame. And then we keep going down the list. Texas. How much pressure is on the Texas Longhorns to make a deep playoff run? How much pressure is on Arch? Which I don't think the Arch pressure, he's had pressure his entire life. I don't think that is I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for him. I think that some people disagree that the furnace is going to get turned up on Sarkisian if he don't make the playoffs. A lot of the Texas people wanted to disagree with that. I don't, honestly, to be 100% transparent, I think if it goes bad in Austin this year, if they go 9-3 and don't make the playoffs, I think they could blow up the format. That's what I honestly think could happen. And they're going to expand it, and then a lot of teams that probably shouldn't make a playoff will make the playoff, and it'll be like how the group of 5 teams celebrated getting into the playoff as an accomplishment. So we'll see. We'll see where that whole thing shakes out. And then I have a question about Indiana. Can Cignetti actually repeat? Does anybody really want to have that conversation? Because if Cignetti repeats, there's going to be a lot of soul searching going around, I think, at various programs. There's going to be a lot of questions being asked about what are we paying for and what are we looking at. So I think that that's not an unfair question. Also, I think that Miami comes in here as another, not a question mark. I think they'll be good, but is Miami finally past the point where we're all going to stop waiting for Mario Cristobal to make the catastrophic mistake? Because it was getting antsy in Coral Gables whenever they lost to SMU. They didn't look very good. It wasn't a good deal. But they got in the playoffs. They made a run. I think that looking at it going forward, he's got dynamic weapons. Darian Mensah. Darian Mensah and Malachi Toney. I think that they're going to be good on defense. Their offensive line is ginormous again. And that is one thing that Miami did to Notre Dame that I don't think they were prepared for in that opening game, because I remember watching that opening game as we did the watch party back when we were some low-tech rednecks. Miami just bullied them, to be completely honest. They bullied Notre Dame in that game, but Notre Dame ended up fighting back. It was CJ Carr's first start as a starting quarterback. So I think that CJ Carr's came a long way. I think he played really well down the stretch. I think that it's going to be a lot of wait and see on this end of it, to be completely honest. And I mean wait and see for some people to get into the playoffs. Because I think Mario's at the point it's national championship or nothing. I think Dan Lanning's there. I think it'll be fascinating to see if people overlook Kirby and the Dogs. But when you break down the playoffs, there's 12 spots, right? So you take 4 of those away for the conference champions. So you got 8 spots. You got Notre Dame. Then you have the group of 5, and you really only got 6 spots. And how are you going to split that up? And you got ACC teams competing for it. You have Big 12 teams competing for it. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least. But I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I think that Elko's got to make the playoffs this year. I really do. Because I think they're going to start to get antsy at College Station because they didn't have a good showing in the playoffs. Although it was windy as hell that day. They couldn't make field goals. Nobody could do anything on offense. But I'll be curious to see what A&M is. But I think A&M's bigger thing is they've got to get through the regular season relatively unscathed and beat Texas. That's what I honestly think they got to do. They got to beat Texas. Because I think coming into the last week of that year, or the last week of the year, with Texas A&M, don't let them both be 9-2. Don't let them both be 9-2. Because somebody ain't getting in. I will stand firm on this. I think people will disagree. I don't think they're going to put a 9-3 Big Ten team in, and I don't think they're going to put a 9-3 SEC team in. I think it'll just be. I think they'll put a 10-2 ACC team in over a 9-3, because I think they're going to hold that precedent up. And I know I have people complain about, well, Alabama had 3 losses. Well, they made the conference championship, so there's that angle. So I think that looking at it from a 10,000 feet view, I think the Big Ten and a lot of those conference commissioners and presidents and ADs have a lot to figure out. So I guess I'll leave you with this question. Put it in the comments. Who do you think wins the national championship? Pick a conference. Because it's either going to be the Big Ten or the SEC. Or Notre Dame. Because I think Notre Dame, even though they're not disclosing their roster figure, I guarantee it's hovering around 40 million. But they would probably refute that and say you don't know what you're talking about. But Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter weren't cheap, fellas. And I'm just saying. But with that being said, appreciate all you guys for tuning in, especially you guys on Twitter. Appreciate all of you guys. And all of that good stuff. Go see our good friends at Williams Auto Parts. Go see Rocky. Go see Heath. Their phone number is Richie Bud Heavy. We're getting ready to wrap up. Special guest tomorrow. I'm going to put that thumbnail and all of that together tomorrow. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Do us the biggest favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. On the road to 500. Trying to get there. Phone line will not be open tomorrow. Can't wait for tomorrow, dude. Yeah, I know, man. Tomorrow's going to be fun. So with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate all you guys, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.